time zone, everyone, and welcome to CrossGen Friends, your gaming, pop culture, and tech podcast with a multi-generation point of view. If you like this show, please remember to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Byron, welcome back to CrossGen Friends. This is episode number 2. I'm so glad to see you. How you doing? How you feeling? What's going on?
I'm doing great. Hope you're doing well, Joe. I got a question for you. What's your happy place this week?
This week it'll probably just be my bed because I'm so exhausted from the last weekend. But this last weekend or so, I was actually in Virginia. My parents live in the Richmond area, and I was visiting them with Jing, my lovely fiance, who scampered on by in the background last week and might scamper on by this week. Who knows? But we were there visiting, doing a pre-holiday visitation session with my side of the family because we're going to be splitting up around the holiday season to spend it in different places with our own families. She's just, excited to get to spend some time with her parents, who she doesn't get to see very often. So, yeah, we were in Virginia, and then we actually drove up from Richmond to D.C. to see Iliza Shlesinger perform at the DAR Constitutional Hall. Byron, do you know Iliza Shlesinger?
I know she's a comedian, but I don't know her well enough to spell her name correctly.
That's all right. Jing didn't know how to spell her name either. She was looking her up after we saw the show, and she had put an E instead of the I. So I adore Iliza Shlesinger. She's the funniest woman I've ever seen, and she's either my second or third favorite comedian. Special shout out to John Pinette, who's the GOAT. He passed away about maybe 10 years, a little less ago. We miss you, John. He was so funny. He was a very heavy set man. A lot of his comedy was actually about his weight and his weight loss journey, his weight gain journey, and just food. His most famous special was like Show Me the Buffet. He loved buffets and all of that. I really enjoyed his performances. I got to see him live one time in high school. I don't know if you know this, Byron, but he was actually the original mother of the main character of the musical Hairspray, which was a Broadway musical. Do you know Hairspray, the musical?
I do know Hairspray. I know decent about Broadway. It was one of our trivia answers this week, actually.
Yeah, so he was the original mother, which that role was cast. It was always planned, from my understanding, as a man in drag, dressed as a woman in that. So that was something that I always thought was fun. And he has like bits, part of his stand-up special, he'll talk about that and that experience and going shopping for like women's shoes, but as a, very large 6 foot some odd man who's, 350 pounds or 400 pounds, whatever he was. But yeah, I love John Pinette. He was great. And he's passed a long time ago now. So Iliza probably has taken his spot as number one, as living comics go, I guess. But yeah, so because of that, I actually do see her once a year. I've seen her once a year, every year, excluding COVID, because I had tickets that year and they got delayed into 2021. I would say it must be since 2018 that I started seeing her. It's hard to remember. I know my first time seeing her was 2016, but I honestly can't remember if I saw her in 2017 or not. But either way, it's been a tradition for me for a long time. I'll fly across the country to see her if I have to. I've gone to New York City, I've gone to Vegas, I've gone to Charleston, and most recently to DC. And Jing had actually seen her with me before, which was really, really nice. She's not the biggest stand-up comedian fan. She likes it well enough, but she just enjoys hanging out with me and spending time together. So we go and do things like see stand-up. And she actually went to Georgetown Medical, so she loves DC and loves Georgetown and has an affinity for that city, despite my how much I despise it. To be honest with you, I can't stand DC.
I like
you
DC.
Do, yeah.
Yeah, my son's in college there right now.
Yeah, that's where we were, because it's right near the Constitutional Hall. We parked in one of the garages there, actually, like E Street or G Street or something, somewhere over there. I forget exactly which one, but this year it was actually really hard to find a show to see Iliza at because she had a huge international leg, and I don't really like going alone to see her if I can avoid it. I went last year with a buddy of mine, and this year Jing's schedule's so busy and my buddy was so busy that I was really struggling to find an option. So this worked out well. In addition to my buddy being busy, he's also an air traffic controller, so he's got no money. So even if he wanted to go, it probably wouldn't be the best idea for him to try and travel right now. but it gave us a chance to visit my parents in DC and just a little weekend getaway. And then we're back as of this morning. We had a 6 a.m. flight. We left for the airport at 4:15, and we're back. We got home, dropped our bags, got some lunch, and pretty much came back, and here I am. So exhausting.
I'd say better you than me, but I love the early morning flights. It lets you have the entire.
I don't mind early morning flights. I just don't like early morning flights after driving to and from DC in like the day before. It was 3 hours up there and 2 hours back with, like 5 hours in DC itself. So it's like the same amount of time driving as I was in the city. Ugh.
DC to Fredericksburg is a slog every day, no matter what time of day it is. Yeah. Well, the rest of it's not so bad. We make it a few times a year. So how similar are Eliza's shows? Is it a different set each year, or does she do something the same?
Yeah, it depends on how far apart you see her, obviously. I would say if you go like every other year, you'd probably get a new set for her specifically. She's really good about that sort of a thing. I saw her in Charleston last year. I'd say it was about 50-50 this year in terms of what was the same versus what was different then, which is fine because she does change her jokes up often enough. And I don't want to rag on the opener that she has there, but she's had this guy opening for her for almost a decade now, for like 8 years. I've seen him a whole bunch of times opening. Not every time I've seen her have I seen him, because I actually used to see her in small comedy clubs. When I was in New York City, she'd play Caroline's on Broadway, so she didn't have an opener. But all of the big shows I've seen her in, the big like theaters, he's been her opener. Byron, he's been telling the same jokes for half a decade. And he changes his jokes up a little bit to reflect the new things in his life. So when I started seeing her with him as the opener, he didn't have any kids. Now he has 2 kids. And the joke is the same joke, but he just changes how many kids he has in it. Like and he was trying out new material this time, which I'm so glad he was trying out some new material. He had a little notebook like on the stool where he was like making notes and whatnot about it. They weren't great jokes. I appreciate that he was trying some new jokes. He had one very good joke. He had one really good joke. His name is Hunter, and he was talking about fixing his house with his father-in-law, and someone asking him if he was manly or something. He goes, "My name is Hunter, but it probably should have been Gatherer," or something like that. And that was good. That was a funny joke. But outside of that, yeah. So her shows, she's always good. She's always hilarious. Even the jokes that are told a second time that I've heard before, they're so funny. They're so good. And I appreciate seeing her. So I go every year. I do. I will make a point to find her somewhere across the country. And it's fun when it's in a new city, like, or in a different location. It's cool to get to explore for reasons like that. So what about you? What's your happy place?
Well, I'm going to take some editorial liberty, and I'm going to steal 2 this week because one just came up yesterday, and I'll go back to front. So yesterday, my college team, the Wake Forest Demon Deacons, became bowl eligible with a first-year coach after having a couple years of subpar performances. We weren't expected to do very well this year, but we're now 6-3 and probably should be 6-2. And we'll at least be at a bowl later on this year. So depending on where it is, I'm able to go.
What any of that means.
It's American football. It's kind of popular here in America.
We don't have great taste in everything here, I guess.
We don't have great taste in a lot of things, but this is one of them. If you ignore the concussions, it's a pretty good
what's
sport.
Your second happy place?
But the second one is last weekend, I went to the Carolina Renaissance Fair. I have never been to a Renaissance Fair, and one of my wife's friends from high school wanted to go with us, so we made it the weekend, and it was a great time. People had talked ahead of time that the bird show was the best part of it, so we made sure to go to the bird show. I like birds. They do stunts. They fly from here to there, and they go pick up things. It was cool. When we go to Animal Kingdom, I love watching the bird show there. It was a good time. There were other shows. There were comedy shows. There were acrobatic shows. But it was good stuff. I was kind of surprised that the show opened at 9:30 in the morning, and at 11 o'clock, there were people who were already drunk enough that they were vomiting, which is a different kind of vibe that I'm used to. I had a beer. I might have had more, but the lines were just extreme for alcohol. It wasn't unfairly priced, which would have meant I would have drunk more, but I don't like waiting in line that much.
Does do you think that maybe they were just drunk from the night before still? Because I definitely have had friends who would have gone and had a party the night before and then just moved on to, continue the next day.
I can't judge that. I know the old rule, you can't be drunk all day if you don't start in the morning. So maybe they upheld that same idea. I'm not here to judge. I just don't want to get vomit on me. Drink as much as you want, as often as you want, as long as you're not getting behind the wheel of a car.
We're playing.
I like alcohol as much
bike.
As the next person.
Any vehicle.
Or anything that could cause you to crash and hurt somebody else. Keep it to yourself. Of special note for you, it was, I don't know why this was like that, but there were people cosplayed in traditional Renaissance or knights and princesses, but there was a couple there who were dressed in red berets with black and white striped shirts and baguettes attached to their back as Claire Obscure X33 cosplayers, and
that's cute. I really like that game. It's a high quality game. I don't ever want anyone to think I don't like that game a lot. I do. I really enjoyed my playthrough of it. I rewatched a whole playthrough from Dr. Mick. Did I talk about Dr. Mick last week on this episode? I think I did, right? When I talked about privately,
I
yeah.
Can't remember if it was on
if anyone
camera,
anyone doesn't know Dr. Mick is a Twitch streamer and he uploads his VODs to YouTube. He is a licensed marriage and family therapist, and he does game sessions with a therapist where he plays a game and does a psychological analysis of how the things in the game could translate into real world, practical use and things. You learn a lot there. He's great. He's way bigger than we are, obviously, with our 48 or 49 views that our first episode got on the show that we're working to grow. But yeah, I highly recommend anyone who's interested in any sort of that content, psychoanalysis of pop culture and things. It's really fun. And I watched a whole playthrough. I watched his entire playthrough of that game. So I do like that game a lot. It's just not game of the year.
It's going to be a show trope because I'll bring it up repeatedly. There's a lot to unpack in that game psychologically.
Watch the playthrough. I'm telling you, Dr. Mick, it's good. You'd enjoy it. You'd enjoy it, Byron, for sure. But
it was loaded up on one of the tabs that crashed.
Pre-show, mid-show, pre-show. Oh, goodness. Well, that's enough of an intro here. Let's jump into the news. Byron, let's start with you this week. What do we have going on the rundown? What's happening in the world of news and games and pop culture and tech and all that fun stuff?
Well, Football Manager 26 was released this week, or as I call it, watching the computer play a game with itself. My brother's always been a big fan of the Football Manager series, and I don't get it. I guess I see some value in building teams, but when I play games, typically I want to play games. Of note, they added women's leagues this year for the first time, but they removed international play and World Cup in a World Cup year. There was a lot of criticism for fans, and it's 2 steps forward and 2 giant steps back. Fans of the series are not happy, and the game has negative reviews now on Steam. The developer has said they will have international play added back before the end of the year.
Should we get your brother on the show, talk about Football Manager sometime?
It's possible if he's still playing it.
Is he one of the angry fans or not one of the angry fans?
I haven't spoken to him about it, honestly. But maybe I will.
Yeah, I'm curious what he thinks. If he really is that into the series. I always like to talk to people who are experts in subject matter, or who are, even if they're not experts, they're passionate about it. They could know nothing, but if they care about it a lot, then it's just as fun to talk to them, because it's a different perspective. I don't know anything about most sports games, but hearing someone who does, or someone who's majorly into Minecraft talk about Minecraft could be fascinating, or something like that. I don't play GTA Online, but there's plenty of people who do, that sort of thing. So maybe we'll try and get some people who know this stuff and bring them in. That might be fun. And your brother. And I think our audience, let us know in the comments below if you like that idea, if you think we should have some guests that know more niche things, or even if they're really popular but we call them niche because we don't like them. That might be fun.
Or just let us know if you like watching the computer play games
definitely.
Against itself.
Let us know both things for sure.
All right, on
Yeah.
to you.
So my first topic here, my first news piece is in a wide-ranging interview with games outlet The Game Business, Obsidian Entertainment's VP of Operations, Marcus Morgan, revealed that new employees at Obsidian pick an RPG class when they join, between a wizard, warrior, or a rogue, and receive gifts at various milestones between starting and 20 years. And if you last longer than 20 years, you can multi-class.
Not to foreshadow too much, but maybe they should limit the employees and the skills they can perform and then constantly tell them how they're limited.
Yes, yeah, well, we'll get to that in a little bit. But the interview also discusses Obsidian's impressive output with 2 full releases in Avowed and The Outer Worlds 2 this year, plus Grounded 2's early access release. Uh, Justin Birch, who was one of the other people in the interview, he was the VP of Development. He credits a lot of this to the fact that they're iterative, that they, quote, keep a lot of our same tech stack and we iterate on that. I want to say that when it comes to this, it always makes me think of, do you know Mark Dara? Are you familiar with Mark Dara, Byron? Mark
I am
Dara
not.
is the former executive producer of Dragon Age at BioWare. He worked at BioWare for 24 years, I think he was there. Something like that, 24, 21, somewhere in the upper to lower to mid 20s of years there. And he left in 2021, and he came back in as a consultant to help bring Dragon Age the Veilguard to ship. But he has a YouTube channel called Mark Dara on Games. And one of the things that he's always talking about on that channel, and I find really interesting, is the concept of a sequel versus a true sequel. And if you don't know, a sequel is, just number 2, the next game in the series. But a true sequel, in his definition of it, is a game that uses the vast majority of the same tech stack as the first game, because it saves a lot of work on system building and development time that you need to put a game out there. So, for example, in BioWare terms, Mass Effect 1 to 2 to 3, those are true sequels through and through. They are the same tech stack built on top of one another, with tweaks and changes, obviously, because the gameplay is different in all of them. But those are true sequels. Dragon Age, he would say, are not true sequels, because they are all completely different from one another. They don't build on the same tech stack at all, particularly from 2 to Inquisition, which overhauled engines into the Frostbite engine. So this makes sense. What Justin Birch is saying here makes a lot of sense, that if you continue to have tech stacks, you can if you continue to iterate on your tech stacks, you can continue to develop games at a quicker clip than if you're constantly starting from zero. It's like, starting from 25, even if it's only a quarter, it's still more than none, which I thought was interesting. You're the tech side of things. What do you know about tech stacks and how that sort of technology would work and building on things? Do you have any insight into that?
I mean, I'd reflect on what you just said. It makes it easier to reuse parts and make iterative changes in the parts and not overhauling things. My understanding about the gaming industry is that's important, and getting those parts of the gameplay dialed in is important. But a lot of it is the art pieces, the voice work, graphics, any kind of assets that they have to put in the game. So, I think it's going to cut down on the bugginess of the games, but I don't think you can put out 2 games in a year if you're going to put a lot of time into them and make sure that you've got the appropriate voice work and scripting and all of the more softer sides of the game.
Hear that, everybody? World. Somebody doesn't play Yakuza games.
I do not. I tried, and it's a little bit.
It's not silly. It's not silly unless you're doing the sub stories. If you want serious, do the main story. The main story is plenty serious. We're gonna need to work out your lack of Yakuza knowledge, because I talk about Yakuza all the time. For exactly like right now, I'm gonna talk about Yakuza and say the Yakuza games are usually set in Kamurocho, which is one city. And Kamurocho is in every single game of Yakuza. In all of the mainline Yakuza games, it's always there. Even if it's not the main city, it's always in it, and it's the same city every time for years and years and years. And when they change engines or when they change something, they make the same exact city with little differences, and they reuse it over and over and over and over. And it's a perfect example of what you're talking about needing the art assets. They already exist because they made it once. The most recent full city that they made was Honolulu for Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. And then what did they do? The next year they released Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii because they already had Honolulu made, and they just had to use it right there. So that is smart usage, and they're all amazing and they're all awesome. And we need to get you to play the Yakuza games. I think you would like them. I actually think you would like them if you didn't pay too much attention to the silliness of the sub stories. The main stories of those games are very good.
My key to if I'm enjoying a game is, do I want to keep playing it? And I got about halfway through Like a Dragon, and I stopped playing it for whatever reason. And
you started Like a Dragon. We got to get you to play Zero. That's what you need to do. You need to start with Zero, because Zero is a brawler. Zero is not a JRPG. Zero is a brawler. You're beating people with your fists. A lot of people with your fists. Have you seen Zero's gameplay? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I have not. Is it like a Streets of Rage?
It's like a 3D Streets of Rage. It's 3D. That's exactly right. If you run through the streets, you pound people's faces in as Kiryu, and then lots of drama happens in the background of the story. Yeah, it is a brawler like that, but in 3D, and it's amazing. I think you'd like it.
Ironically enough, I liked the later Saints Row games, even though they were wacky, but they embraced it. That was the entire point of it. It wasn't like, this is kind of serious, but you have sex objects that you're walking through the city with to beat people.
Yeah.
Saints Row was weird.
I love Saints Row. We'll talk about Saints Row later on in the show. But yeah, in terms of the Yakuza side of things, it's the main story is always a very super duper serious, Yakuza drama. And the side stories, the sub stories, those are where it gets a little wacky. And you don't always have to do those, but they're fun. There's a lot of fun ones in there. And we can talk more about that offline, and I'll try and expose you to the wonders that is the Yakuza world. But yeah,
I look forward to it.
So let's keep moving with this news story here. We're almost done with it. Mr. Britch continues on in the conversation. He decides to chime in about the studio's ambition, and he added to the interview here that the Obsidian Entertainment, they want the Outer Worlds 2 to be big, and that they are ambitious, but they never want a single game to cost them the studio if it flops. He says, quote, "We don't want to put ourselves in a situation where we have one bad project and then the studio goes away. All this ties into, what do we want the game to do? What is an Obsidian game? And if we're going to make a huge bet on the Outer Worlds 2, we want to make sure we feel strongly about that from day one." Check out the article from the Game Business's site or their video interview for more. But this was an interesting interview, I thought. I didn't watch the whole video. I just read the excerpts from it. I thought that was insightful because they are talking about what's an Obsidian game. And there's a lot of people who want Obsidian to make a Fallout game. But Obsidian doesn't really seem to want to do a Fallout game. They want to make Obsidian games. They don't want to do Bethesda's games. I think that's probably the right approach, not having played any of the Fallouts, I guess. But I think that I like Obsidian doing their own thing because they are unique in their approach. And I also really like Pillars and the Pillars world. So I want more Pillars.
Some people say they made the
I know
best
a lot of people say that New Vegas is very popular. Someday maybe I'll get to them, but I'm not attracted to the post-apocalyptic landscape like that. It doesn't interest me so much because it's just so blah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it.
Well, Byron, over to you for our next story. What do you got?
All right. Kotaku is reporting references to PC gaming and possible cross-buy on the PlayStation storefront. These items indicate either an expansion into more fully embracing the PC gaming community, as Microsoft does, or developing a hybrid PC gaming hybrid like the Xbox Ally X, which did not do well from reviews. I'd be happy at either one of these developments. I'm an Xbox Game Pass subscriber. I love it. Even with the price increase, it's still worth the money for me. I think I come out ahead with the kinds of things that I play, and honestly, I'd like to do the same with PlayStation. The games that I buy are ones that I want to keep, and the vast majority I'm happy renting, playing through, and never thinking about it again. I know that you're more of a game buyer. You like to collect, you like physical discs. Would this service interest you at all?
No, not particularly. It's funny because I am a PlayStation Plus Premium subscriber. I don't think I've used it. I used it one time for about an hour to play, just to see what Oblivion was like again in like maybe a year or so ago. Just bored one night, and I because Oblivion, the PS3 version, was available. I was like, "Yep, this is exactly like I remember. This map is terrible and it's ugly as sin, but I loved this game." And then I never looked at it again. I am not interested in that sort of thing because you're right. I like owning my games, even though I know that some of them are just downloads. I like having the boxes. I mean, I've got a stack of them right over here on next to the TV. I don't know. It doesn't interest me in the way that it interests a lot of people. Yeah, unfortunately. I think the handheld is cool. Like the idea of a handheld is cool, and I owned a PSP and a PS Vita, but I never put a ton of time into either of them. The same way I don't really play my Switch Portable. The most I played the Switch Portable was Dragon Quest 11 during COVID when I was visiting my parents. And the Switch 2, I played a little bit of Pokemon Legends ZA in portable mode again while visiting my parents because I didn't bring the PlayStation with me. But I'd rather just have my discs, have my games, sit on the couch and chill.
Well, back to you for the next story.
Yeah, so next up is video game preservation and the legally mandated continuation of online games in some form was debated in the UK recently. A number of ministers from various regions of the country debated and gave examples of games shut down recently, a few of them arguing that some of them could have been kept alive with patches to add offline modes. Nonetheless, the UK government spokesperson issued a statement afterwards that said the government appreciates the concerns, but no action is going to be taken at this time to change anything. The full story is available on VGC. I don't really have a lot to say here. I just thought it was interesting because these petitions are cool to see people trying to take action to do things like this, but governments just don't care. They don't care. The only thing they care about is when you vote them out. They don't want to see your petitions. Do you have any thoughts on it at all? I don't like the games shut down. I do think that every game should have an offline mode, but
I mean, coming from the software world where I know that we set up things in escrow at my former company, so if the company went under, you would retain the ability to run the software and edit the software. I'd like some sort of fallback where if you give up on a series or a game that the rights would revert to the public. Kind of like how Sony and the Spider-Man movies are. If they want to keep the rights of Spider-Man, they have to keep putting out a new Spider-Man movie every X number of years, but as more of a public thing.
Yeah, I understand wanting to have the rights owned by the company that made the games still, but the specific instance of the game I feel like should be available to people to do what they want with. You know, even if it's just that instance, like Anthem, for example. Anthem is about to die. They're about to kill Anthem in 2 months, which was a BioWare game. And it's been up for 6 years. I think it'll have been up for 6 or 7 years, or just about there. And it's going to be unavailable forever because they're shutting down the servers. And that sucks. And I think that I think the people should be allowed to start their own servers and play the game. But that doesn't mean they can start going to make Anthem 2. Like, that's where the line is in my mind. If you want to do whatever you want. We killed Anthem 1's online functionality. We're not doing anything with this game itself. Have at it, everyone else. The rest of the world can wait. If we want to do an Anthem 2, they can wait for us to do it. But we give you Anthem 1 because we are done with it. I think that would be a fair compromise between people that care about the IP rights of games and the people who just want games to live. Yeah,
I'm good
I don't
with
know.
that.
It's complicated. It is a complicated issue, unfortunately. And I don't think that the governments of the world are equipped to handle modern, complex internet tech issues just yet, considering that most of the people in those governments predate, I was going to say television, but I won't go that far.
Let's be
predate
nice,
the internet.
Predate the internet. Let's just stop
all
it
right,
there.
Byron, what's going on in Muppets world? Give it to us. I can see that shirt on there.
Yeah, as a huge Muppet fan, I was happy to see news about a Miss Piggy movie coming out this week. According to Deadline, Jennifer Lawrence revealed she and Emma Stone are producing a Miss Piggy movie. The movie is a welcome addition to the 70th anniversary of the Muppets and comes on the heels of a refresh of The Muppet Show by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg's Point Grey Pictures. I'm a Gen Xer, and it's just kind of a thing. We all love the Muppets. It was huge when I was a kid. I can't begin to describe how big of a deal it was that Luke Skywalker and Mark Hamill were on the same episode of the same show. That's just how big the Muppets were back in the day. But you're younger. Did you watch the Muppets when you were younger? And have you kept up with the recent movies?
I don't think I've ever actually seen a Muppet movie other than the Muppet Christmas Carol, maybe. Yeah, I like Muppets well enough, but I don't have any affinity for them or really any true recollection of watching them with any sort of consistency in any way, shape, or form. I don't know. I mean, I know it's Jim Henson, and I know Kermit and Miss Piggy, and I know the basics of the characters, but I don't have any strong attachment or memories or feelings toward. Like, I don't own any Muppet shirts. I can tell you that much.
I own at least
I'm glad
3.
to see them still alive, because I think that puppeteering is pretty cool, and that they're really cool puppets, and Kermit's awesome. Kermit's just funny. I think everyone, even if you don't know the Muppets, knows Kermit. I think that he's just penetrated pop culture and society to a degree that only something like a Mickey Mouse or a Snoopy has before, like that sort of level of penetration, or Bugs Bunny. But I don't have any particular love for Muppets, and I probably won't see a Miss Piggy movie, considering she's an abusive partner to Kermit, and I don't really want to watch a movie about her.
It's all in good fun. So my 2 Muppets hot takes, since you brought up one of them, is Muppet Christmas Carol is the best version of A Christmas Carol in movies, period, end of story. And the second one is, you've never seen a Muppet movie. Rainbow Connection is the best movie song of all time.
Okay, sing it for me.
I will not even try. I'm not going to ruin Jim Henson's legacy like that. But feel free to go comment if you agree with me or disagree with me. I'll ignore the ones that disagree.
I really like a Flintstones Christmas Carol. You ever see the Flintstones Christmas Carol?
I have not. Does it have the Martian in it?
No, I don't believe it does. No, it wouldn't have the Martian in it. He wouldn't fit into that plot. No, it's fun. It is fun. I like the Flintstones. You want to talk about generation things? I love Flintstones. I remember watching Flintstones a lot, which is way older than Muppets.
Yeah, that was old for me.
Flintstones and Jetsons. I used to watch, Boomerang had them on. That's where I would watch it when I was a kid. Watch those classics. I don't know them like the back of my hand or anything, but I definitely Flintstones movies, the 2 live action movies. I don't think I ever watched them, but I know John Goodman starred in the first one. Flintstones. Flintstones is fun. Muppets also cool, I guess. I don't know. I see in the notes here something about Muppet Vision. What is this Muppet Vision? That's R.I.P. you got in here. I don't even know how to bring it back to you.
So Muppet Vision was a show at Disney's Hollywood Studios. It's notable because it was the last work of Jim Henson before he untimely died. And it closed this last year. I was there the week that it happened. I did not go to the park that day because it was a mob scene. A lot of people who kind of ignored it were really passionate about it once it left. But I was one of the people who always sat through at least one viewing of Muppet Vision 3D every time that I was in Hollywood.
Did you have 3D glasses on? Is that what makes it 3D? Or okay,
you did. They were purple 3D glasses, and some people stole them at the end.
Thieves, criminals.
Thieves. They weren't
true, I guess.
Anymore.
Souvenir. See him in 10 years on eBay, being sold for.
Yeah, I'm not big into theft, but I mean, this is one of those victimless crimes. Disney is not going to reuse those glasses. They're just going to go into a bin or go into a
landfill. Are you kidding me? Come on.
All right, what do you have next, Joe?
All right, let's keep going here. So, John A. Squires, recently appointed director of the United States Patent and Trademark Office, the USPTO, has ordered a re-examination of the slightly less recently granted Nintendo patent that related to summoning monsters and ordering them to battle from July of 2025 per Games Fray. The order points to prior art, one from Makoto Yabe and others from Konami from 2002, and one from Takahisa Tora and Nintendo from 2020, neither of which were examined in the original determination, and the order instructs a re-examination in light of the newly presented prior art. That is from, like I said, Games Fray, where you can find the original order if you want to see what it looks like, which is good. It's always good to have the original order and the original primary source. That's the word I was looking for. It's always good to have the primary source there. So if anyone is unaware of how would you know how this works? Do you know how patents are done, Byron? Let me ask you.
We talked a little bit about it last week, so I do have enough knowledge to pass my certification test that involve patent and intellectual property rights, but not the level of an attorney.
So in order to get the patent, you need to have a new invention. It has to be non-obvious. It has to be original work of someone who has ordinary skill of the art, would not just have thought of it by looking at it. And unfortunately for Nintendo, having prior art of something that you're trying to get patented is kind of sort of an almost immediate killer if it really is prior art. It's bad. It won't look good for them. Why it was missed is an interesting question. I don't actually know why it would have been missed. It's strange. It's strange to not have had that seen before. And it's actually even stranger for the director of the USPTO to order a re-examination. Usually what happens for patent challenges is someone who is worried about having a patent enforced against them will file for the re-examination through a process for it, and it's kind of pricey. So you don't usually just do it willy-nilly. You have to be pretty certain that you're going to win to do it. As you do with most lawsuits, you generally don't file a lawsuit unless you have a confident standing, that a feeling of confidence that you're going to win. But yeah, so in this case, it was the director. So we'll see how that goes. I would not be surprised if this gets invalidated and scrapped, because they've not just one, but two of them that are both pretty close to what they were talking about. One of them being from themselves, which is what's really funny here. They didn't even whoever was the examiner for this didn't even think to look back at the own company's patents. Like, that's I don't know. It's a little side-eyeing in my opinion. I don't understand how that gets missed, but yeah. That's all on that topic there. So let's go to the next piece, Byron. Back to you.
Yeah, I've got a 2-in-1 here. Protests have erupted at Rockstar Games offices, accusing the Grand Theft Auto developer of union busting, according to Dexero. The Independent Workers Union of Great Britain organized a demonstration after claiming Rockstar fired between 30 and 40 employees, aiming at stopping unionization efforts. The protesters chanted, "Rockstar, Rockstar, you're disgusting. We charge you with union busting," which I guess is okay, but it's not the catchiest phrase I've heard. Rockstar, it's cute enough, but I've heard better. Rockstar counters that the released employees were removed following violations of company policy, claiming that the dismissed employees shared confidential information on a forum that included non-employees. That seems to be all the rage these days, so I don't know who's right, who's wrong here. What I can say is, if you treat your employees well, they'll be less likely to want to make unions. I don't know if things were happening, but when it gets to this stage, typically there's something going on. And in a sort of related story, the Rockstar company has also announced that Grand Theft Auto 6 is delayed again, this time to November 2026. So if you scheduled the birth of your child or PTO for earlier release dates, you're going to have to figure that out on your own.
Specifically November 19th.
There's been some commentary.
For clarity, it is November 19th is the currently announced date.
Currently announced date. I wouldn't be surprised to see it slide again. There's been some commentary about this decision. Obviously, people are not happy because it's been a long time since Grand Theft Auto 5 came out. But there's a lot of companies these days who will just throw unfinished games out there and fix them with after patches, with broken features, because they have to make sure that the line keeps moving up. They're losing money if they don't release games, and any delay means they're losing money. And Rockstar's essentially said, we understand we're losing money, but the value of our company is more into putting out a product that we think is right and we think is good. And I don't want the delays, but I'd rather them release a good product than
I agree. It's also worth noting they're not losing money because they are making all of the money from Grand Theft Auto Online still.
Probably selling hats or something. It's knives, isn't it? Knives
I
they're
don't.
selling, or is that still
Team
Team
Fortress was the
Fortress?
knife seller, I think. No, the Rockstar sells the shark
Okay.
cards, which gives you money. You pay real money for fake
Uh,
money. What a scam!
yeah, I've never played Grand Theft Auto online. I've played Grand Theft Auto since I guess two.
Yeah, I played a little bit of it just to check it out when it came out because it was a pretty cool idea at the time. Like this live-in world
Uh,
of like Grand Theft Auto, but I never invested much in it. And I have played all of the 1 through 5 Grand Theft Autos at least a little bit. I never beat 1 or 2 because they're weird top-down hard. Yeah, they're
they're not
hard to
great.
play. Like they're awkward. They're not.
Three's when it
Threes,
got
yeah.
good.
Once they had the over the shoulder angle, the camera, the best way for camera angles. Anyone who complains about Sony's games being over the shoulder,
It depends on
yeah,
what
it's
kind
true.
of game. If it's a shooter, I want it first person.
I like both. It just depends. It depends on what you're trying to do. Obviously, every game design is unique as to what they're trying to do and what the goal is. And I like over the shoulder third person action adventure RPG games. Like that's my default. That's my go to. I like first person games as well, but that's off topic there. The point is, yeah, for Rockstar to delay this, it makes sense. They need to do it. If they have to do it, they have to do it to release the best product they can. I think the game has too high of a set of expectations to be anything but flawless when it comes out, which is a scary spot for them to be in, I'm sure, but does not make it untrue.
Heavy is the crown.
Absolutely.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown. Let's get that right.
Heavy.
All right. So, what do you have for the last news
Yeah,
story?
last up here, Chris Stockman, the original design director of Saints Row 1, has announced that a potential revival of the much beloved franchise may be in the works. PC Games End reached out after a Reddit post by Stockman making the announcement and confirming it would not be a VR game for some reason. Someone asked that, and he made it very clear. I don't know why someone asked that. Uh,
Hmm.
PC Games End reports that Stockman said that after his interview with Esports Insider, during which he questioned why the studio behind the reboot chose a reboot, meaning the original Volition, but under Embracer's ownership, that interview caught some internet fire. He reached out to the IP owner, still Embracer Group. PC Games End says, quote, now Stockman tells us, quote, I want to bring the Saints Row franchise back to its roots. As you know, I directed Saints Row 1, and I feel the series has strayed way too far away from that. I completely understand why they went that way, but in the end, they kind of painted themselves into a corner they couldn't get out of. They add, meaning PC Games N, adds, it's too early to in the process to get your hopes up, of course, but Stockman says, quote, there is interest. A pitch has been requested. He adds, I am attempting to get the band back together. If this works, this will be an amazing story. I hope it works. End quote. End story. Thoughts, Mr. Miller?
So, I I played the first Saints Row that I played was the first one that got a little bit weird.
3?
And my understanding was they went that direction. It may have been three. So I think I played 3 and 4, and then the add-on remake of
The
4.
Gat one?
Um, they they were accused of being a clone of Grand Theft Auto, and that was probably fair. And they were never going to be as good as Grand Theft Auto, so they went their own way, which I enjoyed, even though it did get a little wacky. And I understand. I mean, like, where do you go from aliens taking over and putting you in the Matrix while you're the president of the United States in the Matrix? I don't know what the next step after that is, other than a reboot. But
I
I did
know.
love the
I know what the
dubstep
next step
theme.
is. You know what the next step was? Agents of Mayhem. No, Agents
Remake
of
the.
Mayhem. That was the
Uh,
sequel. Agents of Mayhem is a sequel to Saints Row 4. It's
I haven't
bad.
played that. Maybe I'll give that a shot. Oh, then
It's
I,
not
I
that
won't
bad.
play that.
It's not. I'm trying to think how to. Okay. So, Agents of Mayhem. Okay. At the end of the GAT DLC, you know the GAT DLC I'm talking about, where GAT's like fighting the devil and he like beats the devil up and the devil like gives him a wish or whatever. You can like pick or whatever at the end of that, and um, essentially it chooses a canon ending, and the canon ending is to remake the world of Saints Row, and they remake the world of Saints Row into the Agents of Mayhem universe, where there's like this Avengers but corny and weird uh group of superheroes called the Agents of Mayhem, Mayhem being an acronym, Mayhem, and they're fighting against the bad guys, something like Doomsday. It's some sort of Doom kind of name or whatever. And they are a bunch of superheroes basically fighting against a bunch of supervillains in super futuristic Seoul, Korea. And the problem with that game was it was very repetitive. They didn't do enough to differentiate between what your missions were. The characters all played totally different. They were not at all the same, the characters. But what ended up happening was the gameplay itself while you were playing the cool unique characters was you ended up going in through these like dungeons, I guess is the best way to call them, and they'd be the same kind of dungeon things over and over again, and it was very just so repetitive, and the actual stuff that you were doing, it was, and it wasn't I said it was bad, or did I say bad or horrible, whatever I described it as, it was a very mediocre game. I would not tell you
the kids are saying mid.
I would. We don't have anyone that's that generation yet. We need to bring on a younger person. I wouldn't say it's bad. I would just say it is mid, if you want to use that phrase. And if you can get it for cheap, I would recommend you play it just to check it out, because it's fun for a little bit. It's not fun enough that I would go and get a platinum trophy for it or anything like that. So to this story here, what they did, that is the answer. They moved it from the Saints Row universe into Agents of Mayhem. That flopped because it wasn't great. And then they were like, what do we do now? And so then that's all the THQ Nordic and being bought up by Embracer and all that stuff happened in that time frame. And that's when they did the release of the reboot Saints Row in 2022. Is it 22 or 23? Do you know when the reboot came out off the top of your head? Let's see.
2020 to 2024 was a blur to me.
Wasn't it a blur to all of us? It was 2022. I was right.
I think it was.
Yeah, so that's when they did the 2022. So that was a 5-year gap between the Agents of Mayhem and Saints Row reboot. So yeah, Agents of Mayhem was such a flop. They were like, all right, let's go back to Saints Row and try it again. And I played that game. I did platinum that game. I did get the platinum for Saints Row because it wasn't horrible. It was very bland. It was less bland than Agents of Mayhem was, but it was also not as interesting of a story. But the gameplay itself was a bit more interesting to do, which is why I didn't mind doing the activities and playing around the activities and whatnot, because I enjoyed the gameplay more because I wasn't doing the same stupid dungeon over and over and over again. Yeah, I would be very happy if they brought it back to basics and went back to Saints Row 1, because I love Saints Row 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I think they're awesome games. You're right that they were GTA clones, but that's okay. It's okay to have a GTA clone because we don't get GTA games very often. Like, that's really all it comes down to.
Yeah. TLDR, make good games.
Yeah. Would you go back to play Saints Row, the original Saints Row 1 and 2? Because 2, I love 2. 2 is my favorite, actually.
So here's a topic that we can explore more at a later date. You've made the comment before to me that you don't like playing old games because they're just difficult for you graphically. And I get that, but I would expound a little more on that for my grand gaming thesis, that sprites live forever, but old 3D graphics don't. So the older the game that's 3D, the more difficult it is to work through, but there's still good art in old pixel-based games. So like old NES games, old SNES games are still fantastic, and you can still play them. But 3D games are hard to go back to.
You say that, and yet I would much rather play an old, bad-looking 3D game than look at anything or play anything that's sprites or pixels. I don't think the sprites or pixels look very good. I don't find them fun to look at or engaging or nice. Like, they don't do anything for me.
Yeah, I have to hard disagree from me. I need to send you my NES Classic so you can.
I mean, it's okay because I know most people disagree with me. I'm definitely in the minority on that stance. Like, I am the super minority on saying that I would rather never see another sprite-based game made ever again. and I'd be perfectly happy to have moved on from that. And I know that that's controversial, but sorry, like that's my opinion. It's I think what I think.
Yeah.
If you disagree with me, write it in the comments below.
I mean, I still play with Dead Souls. It's a fantastic game. Yeah, the sprite based roguelike.
Dead Cells.
Dead Cells. That's the one. Yeah, it's still a great game. Beautiful, plays great. Vampire Survivor.
That's not even a game. You
Awesome
just
game.
move your joystick around. Like that's it. It's
Yeah, it's more of a game than Football
probably
Manager.
true to some extent, I guess. Yeah. I really love Saints Row, and I do have to say, Saints Row 1 and 2 don't look bad. Like they're PS3 games. They still look pretty good overall. They're not stunning or anything like that, but they're good. And I actually think that the story of 2 is really, it's a very high quality story. I think you would enjoy the stories of those games. The opening mission of Saints Row 2 is so awesome. It's so, I mean, do you want me do you care if I tell you what the opening mission is of that game, just because it's so cool? I mean, you don't have to, but
I mean, maybe I'll play it one day, especially if they reboot it. But yeah, I guess you can go for a brief
just a really
synopsis
quick
if you'd
synopsis is, without spoiling the end of Saints Row 1. I won't spoil the end of the Saints Row 1, but you pick up as your character and you're breaking out of a prison hospital. And at the very moment that you break out of a prison hospital, Johnny Gat, who is your like best bro from the first game, and like the main character who's still around from that game, who's like still involved in the stuff, is on trial for like 100 murders or something. And you bust in the courthouse and break him out of his murder trial as he's being sentenced. And then you go off and like recreate the Saints. Like that's how that, yeah, that's what that game is opening wise. And then you go on to recruit a bunch of people and rebuild the Saints after the first game. And then, like you said, you played the third and fourth game, so that you know how they go from there. But yeah, I really enjoy Saints Row 2, and all of them are really fun. I do think that 4 loses something when you have those powers like flying and you know, super jumps, because it's fun, but it loses.
It does.
Yeah,
it's
but it
fun,
loses some of the elements that make it worth. Like the cars are cool in Saints Row. Like driving cars in Saints Row feels good. Saints Row is, I want to say Saints Row is the originator of the in-world GPS. And what I mean by that is the first game where it would tell you how to go from point A to point B on the street as you're driving, instead of like in a mini map or in like a big map. It just like would have an arrow or point you exactly where you're going. I think that was the first game to do that, which I think is really cool as someone who doesn't like puzzles and doesn't want to figure anything out and just wants everything told to me. Having it right on the screen of telling me where to go is very convenient. But it's fun. What did you think of the respect system in Saints Row?
I don't remember it at all. So if you refresh my memory, maybe I'll remember. But
the respect system in Saints Row is, in order to do a main story mission, you had to have a certain level of respect. And the way that you got respect was by doing their wacky side activities like insurance fraud or car demolitions. And if you didn't have enough respect, you could not progress the main story. It was an actual gate in progressing that game. Do you remember that?
Not specifically, but like I played through all of 3 and 4, so I'm sure that I experienced it. It just sounds like another rep system.
It's kind of, I mean, it's not really a rep system because it doesn't have any impact other than it just blocks you from doing the main story. Like there's no one suddenly says, "Oh, I respect you more," or "You did that thing." It's like it's like an experience gauge. It's like how you would get experience, like, "Oh, you're too low level for this, so you have to level up." You're just leveling up your respects, and then you could do another story mission.
As long as you can grind
it. It's very grindy. That was my least favorite part of those games, is that respect system, because I was so invested in the story. I didn't want to run around doing insurance fraud or spray painting poop from a sewer truck on everything, the way that that game has you do some of those ridiculous tasks.
I do it so much in real life that I don't think about it.
But yeah, I love those games. I love those games. I liked the side activities when I wanted to do them. I just didn't like that they were so required in the way that they were in the end. I like when you can just there's no beelining of Saints Row story, I guess. At least I don't remember if 4 had it. I know it was in 1, 2, and 3. There's no beelining the story, which is the sad part, you know. For someone like you who may just want to run through it and quick, you have to do some of those side grinds, but that's okay.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, I side grind everything. I don't progress with the main story unless I have to.
And that may be your problem with Yakuza games is you might need to ignore the but you might need to ignore the sub stories if you don't like the wackiness. Just do the main story because everything on the side can be done anytime you want in those games. There's really no like limits. Some of them have limits, but generally speaking, there's no limits on when you can do them. And almost everything can always be done in the premium adventure modes. And just do this main story of Zero. You'll enjoy it. It's great. Makimura Makoto.
All right. Well, why don't we move on to what we're
let's
playing?
Do it. Byron, let's hear it from you.
Yeah, so I heard that you finally made it into Outer Worlds 2, mainly because it was in our script. What do you think so far?
I finally got to start Outer Worlds 2 after playing Pokemon Legends ZA. I don't have a ton of time into it yet, unfortunately. I did the prologue mission. I made it to the first town on the first planet, so I am an explorer. I didn't really do a ton beyond that, simply because I was exploring that first, like that, there's a town when you get to the planet, and you're basically like right next to the town in the landing pad. I basically went the opposite direction and explored the entire south and southern coast. I went south. I explored that whole southern coast and up and around, and I looped around, and I did all of that stuff before I even set foot in the town, which was cool. And exploring, I have to say, exploring was pretty fun in the game. I think I was almost out of ammo. The only reason I went into the town is because I was out of bullets. I ran out of bullets for my guns because some of those enemies are really tanky. I assume you found the double jump boots. I got them before I entered the town, which I thought was really funny. I did realize that even though I found them really early, I still went to a cave that I needed double jump boots for. And I'm like, I have to go back to that cave. I haven't gone back to it yet, but I have to go back because there was some rifts or something that I couldn't get through. I need to go back to that cave, but I did find those boots. I'm guessing you found them too.
Yeah, a friend of the show, MG, told me early on to talk to somebody by a certain name in the town without giving away too much. And I talked to him, got the quest, got the boots really before I did anything else in town. So I appreciate getting that little heads up on it.
MG, he was a commenter on our last episode, right? That's who you're referring to? Friend of yours?
Yep. Long time friend, yeah.
I got that same quest and already had done it. So I just got it and talked to him again, and he was like, "Oh, thank you so much for finding that thing and doing that thing, and I can't believe that this was his idea or whatever." And that was it. I just got it and turned it in, which actually worked out well because I needed a little bit more experience because I wanted to level up some medical skills so that I could go and do a couple conversations that needed a little bit of medical that I didn't have. I'll definitely need to retrace some steps where I thought the boots would be useful. MG was the one who made the comment last week that I want to talk about here, I think. And I saw his comment. He talks about how much is grayed out and how it feels like so much is just like shown to you, but you can't do things. And I didn't know how I would feel about that at first when I read his comment. And I think I actually agree with him more than I thought I would. There are a lot of options I can't select. It's actually kind of annoying, and they're so stingy with your points. It's like I started the game and I put my points into lock picking and hacking and speech as my proficiencies. That's what like gave me the two bonus head start points, right? And the first thing I come across are things from other skills that need one or two of them. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I can add one. And then as I got into the first planet, it was that same thing that needed one before now needed 3 or 4, like a different obviously occurrence of needing it, but it was the same skill. Like, how am I supposed to do this? There's so many skills that are available, and they're so stingy with points. I know that there's a flaw you can get that will give you 3 points instead of 2, but even that I think is very stingy. I don't think that is a good system in some ways, and maybe it'll get better. Maybe I'll feel better later on. But what really bothers me is there's a level cap, and I know that I'm only going to get 30 points, or 60 points, because you get 2 per level, and there's the level cap is 30, and I hate that. And it bothered me in Outer Worlds 1, and it bothers me in I don't like level caps like that. Dragon Age Inquisition, one of my favorite games of all time, has a level cap. I don't want level caps in games that are so low. Make the level cap like 100. Like, make it a really high level cap. Let me have this maxed out, overpowered character. I didn't see a setting for this, but when I was looking through, but Obsidian's other games, one of my favorites, Pillars of Eternity, they actually let you turn off seeing options that you don't qualify for. Like, you don't even know that they're available. So when I was looking for those extra experience points so I could have that medical conversation with a doctor in the town, I wouldn't have even known that was an option in Pillars if I had turned that setting off. Now, I do want to say that I don't activate it in Pillars because they're far less stingy, and you can add points and your companion's points, like, add to your overall points in a more clear way. And I don't know if they do that in this game, because I know in the first Outer Worlds you could add on, and so you actually had like really high bonuses from your companions. But Pillars lets you respec also anytime you want, which is nice, and this game does not let you respec.
I don't think it does. If it has happened, or if it will happen, I haven't seen it.
No, you get one respec.
Not to spoil what's happening. You do? Yeah, I haven't. I don't remember seeing that, and I don't know if I would change anything.
You may not remember, but you got it because it's the end of the prologue.
Okay.
Remember when you wake up?
And honestly, yeah, you get the opportunity to change things. That's right. But by then, like, you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what you're going to be missing out on. And the game intentionally makes it so you have to specialize in each planet. And I'm going to use that term just to talk about the stages. They're not all planets, but I don't want to spoil it too much. You have to raise the bar each time. What used to be 1 to 3 points, at the next one is going to be 5 to 7 points. And then you're going to get to the third set and it's going to be 8+. And they warn you whenever you start to go too wide that you're going to have a hard time. And that's the case. And I've gone into 5 different skills, and the only reason I went into the 5th one was to put 1 point in guns so I could get an extra holster slot, because I didn't like only having 2. I started out in perception and in speech, because I like having those options available in dialogue. Observation. And then I also have been putting points into hacking and lockpicking, because I don't like being limited in where I can go and what I can do. And 4 is probably too much. You should probably limit it to 3, but by doing that, I've missed out on a lot of combat skills. And like, I'm not the world's best gamer, but I'm good enough that I can get by in this game like that. But it's been a challenge without much in the way of combat skills.
Yeah. For a game that lets you spec into so many things and so heavily limits what you can spec into in the grand scheme of things, it's very combat heavy already from what I've seen. Like, that's fine. I like combat in games, but I don't want to be doing the combat if you're letting me not spec into the combat so much. I'm spec'd into speech, observation, medical, hacking, and engineering right now. And I would like to have all of those things spec'd in and keep going through all of those things and never put a point into guns if I could avoid it. And I don't know. Do you know if the game scales with you? I don't think there's level scaling. So I could
I don't know that it scales. What I can say about the guns is you find better guns that do better things, but the damage doesn't seem to go up a ton. And the monsters, there's still damage sponges. Like, you just keep shooting at them. And depending on the weapon, it may be that the ammo is harder to find and harder to create. Instead of getting 500 rounds per craft, you get 120 rounds per craft. And you have to think about that. But even with the one that does 120 rounds per craft, you're still putting a lot of bullets into monsters. People not so much, but monsters
I found
definitely.
the shotgun is the most effective weapon for me so far. Uh, when I was fighting, because the only thing I've really fought are those crabbles. Is that what they're called? The crabbles.
Hmm.
Those are the biggest things that I fought so far. And I was using the a pistol that I got from the premium edition that I bought, and that was good. And I ran out of pistol ammo, and then I switched over to just a basic shotgun, and that seems to be pretty effective at taking them down. But like I said, I ran out of ammo. I had to stop my exploring because I needed to get to town, which is fine, I guess. Um,
Well, and I get making ammo scarce at the beginning to encourage you to swap between weapons and find something you like. That's less of a problem now. I can craft enough stuff that I can mostly keep up with my ammo needs, but depending on the weapon, it
yeah.
can be a struggle. And honestly, I found the shotgun. I liked it early on, and I tried to keep one just because I like having different
Mm-hmm.
range options. And the shotgun has felt less
Mm.
useful to me, and I've actually removed it out of my
Did you just not get a
rotation
better
and just
shotgun,
put
or did
another
you just
long
feel the
gun.
shotgun itself was no longer helpful?
I've found a unique shotgun, and it shoots slugs instead of shells. And it just like, even unless you're right up against something, it just doesn't work well. And with the character that I have, with everything being in speech and observation, I don't want to be right up against things. And I mean, we can talk about it more in a second, but the flaw system that's kind of adaptive has helped move
Mm-hmm.
me in a way that doesn't make me want to have up
Yeah,
close
I
combat.
see. I am also. I mean, obviously, I said we've basically put our points in very similar things. So I'm the same way, except I just kind of run in and shoot and then run away and go back in and just bobbing and weaving like that. It's definitely a heavy reliance on companions that I've had so far to just like distract them and hold their ire and fire because some of those things are really annoying. The crabble that like spits fireballs at you from 300,000 feet away, like it does. It's so far and it's like
It
precise.
That it's precise. They're really good shots. And I found that the companions, I've gotten all the companions now, at least all the companions, I assume, because I don't have any more companion slots. Um, they they don't take a lot of damage. Even there's a couple ones that are tankier, and my companions die all the time, which I have 25% fewer hit points based off of a flaw
Hmm.
that I picked up. And just not investing in a lot of combat skills means that I'm kind of delicate. I rely on them to help distract and help tank. I mean, and they get, some of them get tank skills and distraction skills they can provoke. Um, but I'm reviving them or having to run away from
Yeah.
combat quite a bit and then fight from afar and then come back after combat's over and let them
Yeah,
revive
I've had
themselves.
similar
It's
issues
been a
there, and
struggle.
I'm also sickly, so I have like a reduced toxicity.
I
I
am too.
basically chose brilliant and lucky and made myself sickly to get both of those traits in the start screen. I don't know what you picked.
I did lucky, and it wasn't ingenious. I don't remember the
Brilliant,
word they
brilliant.
used, but it was no, it wasn't brilliant. It was more like I'd have to go look it up, but it's a similar kind of thing to brilliant, but it wasn't brilliant because I've had some brilliants that
Oh,
are
have
grayed out
you?
for me.
Let's just look outer worlds to traits. Okay, brawny, brilliant, hero. Oh, innovative.
Innovative, that's the one,
Yeah, innovative.
and
It
that's good
is.
for
Yeah.
crafting.
Um, I picked the brilliant one because let me specialize in 3 skills instead of two. So that gave me a head start in another skill, which is cool.
One of the things that I'll give them credit for is most, at least door puzzles, they have multiple ways
Mm-hmm.
of getting through it. So you get to a door and the door is stuck and it requires either engineering or brawn to get through the door. There's probably an air vent somewhere that you can open up and get through that way, or maybe you can turn the power back
Yeah.
on and get it working if you go find the place for that. So there are some places where you're locked out if you don't have the exact skill combination necessary, but the majority of them do
Yeah.
have a way to get around it.
I wish that there were more negative traits. There were only 3 negative traits.
Yeah, because that's more of a green field. You'll get a lot of options for
Well, those are
negatives,
flaws. Yeah.
for flaws in the game. Yeah, but not. Yeah, I guess what you're saying, ones you can pick, they weigh heavily on the flaws throughout the gameplay. I've probably found a dozen or more flaws, and I know that's not even scratching the surface.
I mean, so I'm talking the traits at the start, like between the brilliance and the luckies. There were like 8 or 10 traits, I think, whatever it was, and there were only 3 good traits, and there were only 3 bad traits. I just feel like there wasn't a lot of variety. Like I chose sickly because it seemed like it was the least terrible of the traits, but just some more options would have been cool to have in that, because I don't really like. I don't want to be sickly. Like, I don't like the fact that I'm sickly. And have you picked any of the sickly options in conversation? Because you'll actually get like, I'm sickly as an option in the conversations with some characters.
Yeah, once or twice.
They're fun. One of them I said to one of the companions, and he was like, "Now's not the time to joke, Commander." It's like, okay. I thought it was cute. And he was like, "No, this is not the time for jokes." I was like, "All right, sorry, bro."
So I have sickly, and I also have Space Ranger. So your options can sometimes be, I can't do that because I'm frail, and the other option will be, I'll do this for the glory of humanity, and it's just a complete dichotomy.
So I'm looking forward to exploring the world more and more of the flaws and the perks, because I don't have any. I do have one flaw though. You know, if you want to jump into the talk of flaws here, I did pick the consumerism flaw, which is a flaw that's unique to the premium edition purchasers. You get it as soon as you start the game, and you get the option to take the consumerism flaw, which is 15% higher trade-in value and it's something to do. I think you get a 15% discount from vendors, and all items that you have, all junk items that you can sell for 10% less. And I figure I'm probably never really going to sell junk. I'm going to want to scrap the junk to use for parts. So I'll take the discount and just sell other things.
I sell junk a lot.
You don't scrap it? Why don't you scrap it?
I have not really needed for crafting. It's about 2 to 1 because I haven't needed for crafting.
Well, you do have the crafting perk.
I'd rather have the money to buy guns. Yeah, so I mean, maybe that's part of it. And I think that I do have one of the scavenging perks, but I can't remember. I haven't really needed. I've had enough gunpowder and enough scrap metal. There were times early on.
Yeah, it feels lean right now for sure. But again, I'm like 3 hours in or 4 hours in.
I'm probably 20.
Yeah, I'll get into it. That'll be my game that I play the rest of this weekend, pretty much. But I haven't had any major issues with the game yet, which is nice. It's run pretty smoothly. It looks good. I'm debating whether I like using the 40 FPS mode in balanced, or if I want to boost it into 60, because it does feel strangely slow in 40. I don't normally mind that, but it does have this odd slowness that I don't usually experience when I play a game in 40 FPS. Like I played Ghost of Yotei in 40 FPS, and that was gorgeous and perfect. I had no problems with it. So I'm debating going back to 60, but I have not encountered any bugs or problems yet. What about you?
I have, but I'll address your first comment before I get into the issues that I've had. If you play on PC, you can play at 4K and 120 frames a second. I can do that on high settings, so you can probably do it on
PS5
on ultra settings with frame gen. But you could have it on PC. It's wonderful on PC. Every game, especially PC games, you get a bug here and there that may crash the game, and that's happened. But like, it's not common. It's a pretty well polished game from a stability standpoint. But I've had some mission bugs, and I really hate mission bugs. I like Starfield. I'm one of the few people who probably wanted to love Starfield.
I think everyone wanted to love it.
And in that game,
they just didn't love
it. Even after playing it, I wanted to love Starfield. And I still should go back and see if they fixed the bug. But I had a bug. I guess I'm not going to ruin things because Starfield's been out for so long. But it's designed to have multiple replays, and things in the universe change at each replay. I went to beat the game, and there was a collection that I wanted to finish beforehand, and the bug stopped making some of the collectibles appear on the map, and I had no way of finding it because I believe it was random placement. And I had completed the game and reloaded my save because I really wanted to have all those before I went into the next universe. And for the first couple months, they didn't fix that bug, and so I just stopped playing
You beat the game,
Starfield at
though.
that point. But you don't really beat it unless you beat it like what, a
I've
dozen
not played
times.
it. I don't know. I have it. I have it installed right now. I put like 2 hours into it.
Yeah, during a dry period, I may go back to Starfield.
Dry
But
period?
the bugs that I've had,
When? Where? Where's the dry period? Find me a dry period, please.
it'll happen at some point in time. But all the real bugs that I've had in Outer Worlds 2 are mission related. You will find hints of missions, and they'll show up in your journal as you found information about this, and it'll kind of guide you that if you go talk to people in a certain area, you may get a mission. I found the mission before I found the hint, and so even though I've completed the mission, the hint's sitting in my journal as something that I could do. But I go back and talk to the person, and she doesn't have anything else for me because I already got her mission and got her what she needed. And the other one, and I've seen other people, I don't typically Google missions because I like to figure them out on my own, but I did Google this one because I couldn't complete the mission. And it turns out other people are having the same problem. You've gotten all the parts of the mission completed, but when you go for the final turn, and the guy just ignores you. And it sucks because I really want the hat he's supposed to give me. And I tried going to the next world and then coming back, and just yesterday afternoon, I tried to go back, and the guy still doesn't have anything for me. And so the mission doesn't have a flashing red light in my journal, but it might as well.
Yeah, that reminds me of The Witcher 3. There's a mission in The Witcher 3, and I thought I had the name. I just looked it up to make sure I had it right. I did. Called The Gangs of Novigrad. And this is a mission that has to fail if you do one thing. Like, you have to get this mission, this quest. You have to get this quest if you want to go about doing something a different way. Instead of following this exact quest, it has to fail. And in my Witcher quest log, the only quest that says failed is this one. And to this day, they still haven't fixed it, as far as I'm aware, that you fail this quest if you go about it a different way. And you can. And it gives you choices, like do it this way to do the quest, or do it this way. And you go this way instead of this way. And this one just goes, bam, failed. And so it just says quest failed. And it's the stupidest thing in the world. It's exactly what you're talking about.
Well, Obsidian, fix your bugs because I'm really enjoying this game and I want to get all the missions completed.
It's very frustrating when that sort of thing happens, and hopefully they fix it and and make it so you don't have these issues anymore. That's obviously always the hope when it comes to bugs. Yeah, fingers crossed. Exactly. I want to put more time into this game before I make any final judgments on it or any other thoughts that I have, because I really don't have as much time as I would have liked to put into it between our last episode and this one. But I'm glad that I've played it at least so that we can chat about it and I have a better idea of some of the basics, because I like the Outer Worlds 1, but I don't love the Outer Worlds 1. And other people who I know like the Outer Worlds 1 do love this game. They do think that it's a big step up over the predecessor. And I can say, at least from a UI standpoint, it's a huge upgrade. It's enormous. It's an enormous UI upgrade. I really like the map. The map in this game is very nice. Have you played around with the map and zoomed in and zoomed out? And I'm sure you've looked at the map a lot.
I have. I've used the map a lot.
Do you remember what the first one's map looked like?
I do not remember a lot about the game other than the general concept of the game.
It was similar, except it didn't zoom in very far sometimes. So you couldn't see a lot of what was going on. It didn't have as many layers and zoom capabilities. You can get pretty close in on the Outer Worlds 2's map. And I only know this because when I went back and did the Murder on Eridanos, I could not fast travel to the points I wanted to fast travel because it wouldn't let me zoom the map in. It was auto, you know how you're going around and it magnets you to a spot because it thinks you want this. And the one that I wanted to fast travel to was between 3 other fast travel points. I just could not get to the middle one, and it was so frustrating. Couldn't zoom in, and so I liked Murder on Eridanos just as much as I like the Outer Worlds, but there was just these little quality of life things that I was really hoping that they would fix in this one, and I think that they have. I think that they've made a lot of minor changes to the game that make it better in that way, which is good.
Speaking of the map, one of the funny things that I saw is one of the companions wears a helmet. And as far as I've seen, he doesn't take it off, but his icon on the mini map is him without a helmet on. So the first time I saw it, I was like, well, who the hell is that? And I had to figure out he's the guy that I brought along who's not wearing a helmet in his mini map icon.
That's funny. That's so funny. I wish I could put a helmet on my character and not have the helmet on all the time, because I don't think there's a helmet off in cutscenes but on in gameplay option, because some games let you turn the helmets off visually so that you can see the face of the character when you're doing.
I don't think you see yourself in cutscenes.
You can if you play it in third person, which I'm not doing. But if I wanted to play in third person, it'd be cool, to have that as an option. To play in third person and have that. That's one of the reasons I wouldn't play it in third person, is because you don't have that kind of flexibility for it. But I'm not playing in third person though. Have you tried the third person mode at all? Did you give it any chance? Or
I didn't know there was a third person. First person helmets off.
There's two of them. There's two third person modes actually. They have one.
Yeah, I probably won't find that out. I like first person. Any game that makes me want to train a gun on somebody like this.
But you're not training guns. You're talking to people. You're persuading them, and you're hacking and lockpicking.
Honestly, I am. Not to ruin the game too much, but as far as I've found, all the boss fights have a diplomatic option, and you can talk your way out of it. And because I've heavily invested into speech, I've been able to do that. And I don't know if it gives you the same amount of experience points or more, or limits you from rewards, but it seems fair enough. I've not had problems leveling up. Are they good outcomes? Because a lot of times I feel like you have the best outcome only happens if you do the shooty bang bang part. Like story-wise, the best outcome, like, are you just going to let the bad guy walk away kind of situation, or are you talking them down and they go to jail? I've not sent anybody to jail yet, but I've convinced them that what they were doing wasn't the best course of action. Good. I've had comments from some of my companions saying this would have been a whole lot easier if I just stuck a knife in them. And one of them tries to encourage you to do that even after you've talked the person down. But I still haven't. Not that I'm necessarily trying to play as good, but I do know that I'm better talking than I am fighting. So
that's what I'm pretty much playing into as well. I know that the game is designed for multiple playthroughs, but I'm not really a multiple playthrough kind of person. Do you think you'll go back and play again to see some of the other potential outcomes?
TBD.
Okay, fair enough.
When I finish it, I'll let you know.
Fair enough.
There are some games that I've loved to play through multiple times. By and large, I'm a single playthrough, but I've enjoyed Outer Worlds too. It's been a very good game.
I'm looking forward to getting back to it. I've got some other things that I'm going to do this afternoon, of course, but outside of that, I'm just going to chill and check it out. And I've got all week and next weekend to relax and play the game and really dig my teeth into it more now that the arduous journey of this last weekend is over, because I was excited to see Eliza, but I was dreading the drive to DC, and I hate DC. It was exhausting to be there.
Well, how about then we roll into the wildcard segment?
Any last minute thoughts on Outer Worlds you want to say before we do?
Nah, we'll talk more about it, I'm sure, when you get some more time into it. I'll leave my my rating of it.
Okay. Do you think you'll have a different game for next week? You think you'll finish this? You got enough time coming up to finish this one?
We'll see. This next week might be kind of busy for me. Some of it I'll talk about it in next week's
Sounds good.
Happy Place.
All right, let's go into the wild card then.
Yeah.
Byron.
All right, so in this week's wild card, Reddit has a post mocking the gaming trope of having an axe in your hand and being thwarted by a lock on a chain link fence. This got me wondering about your favorite video game tropes. Obviously, a locked door when you're in power armor or have a sledgehammer is one of them, but what's your favorite video game trope?
So as we were talking about earlier, as someone who doesn't really like puzzles or figuring things out, because I play games to not have to figure things out, I figure out problems all week long during work, all day long when I'm actually in my job sorting out stupid issues that people raise with other things, and it's exhausting. So I like to use my games to have be told a fun story and do mindless gameplay. So I don't like puzzles, things like that. I love the trope of yellow paint. I know it's controversial. I'm a controversial opinion person. I know that. But I love yellow paint telling me where to climb. I want you to smatter it about everywhere. Give me arrows. Give me writing. Ghost of Yote had white paint, which I think was canonically supposed to be a bunch of bird poop, I think is what has been bandied about the internet. Give me all the bird poop you got. I'm happy to climb it. I also enjoy the Aloy solves the puzzle for you trope, where she just tells you what to do. I don't want it to be immediate. I like to look at it and just examine what I'm looking at first, but I do not want any long-term sit around, solve it, figure it out. I played all 6 original God of War games over a 3-day span about 7 or 8 years ago with a walkthrough. Yeah. Ooh. Like I had me, TV, phone with the walkthrough. Thank you. And just like that was it. That was how I went through that game step by step. Because I'm like, I don't want to solve these. I literally played those games for their stories so that I could play God of War 2018, which was supposed to be so amazing that year, which is better than the other God of Wars. It is better than those other God of Wars. It's not better than Red Dead Redemption 2, but it is better than those other God of Wars. That's for sure.
Future discussion topics.
Yeah. So tell me the solution. Like, give me the solution if it takes me too long. Not instantly, like I said, but a good 2 minutes. I did want to give you an example of this, and then I'll throw it back over to you. But I played this game called Echoes of the End earlier this year. Have you heard of that game before? It's a small game made by, I think they're like a sub 30 person team from Iceland called Merkur Studios, Myrkur, Merkur Games, Merkur Studios, something like that. I reviewed it for a Season Gaming. I liked it, but it had some problems. I gave it a 7 in the end. I enjoyed playing it overall, though. I was pretty pleased that I just bought it randomly one day. And some of the puzzles in there, the answers that you would get from the characters after you took a while were just as confusing as the puzzle. I remember one, I was just roaming about, no idea what was going on, and I just eventually figured it out, but it took me way longer than it should have, because they just did not give a good answer. They just never gave more information, which was weird.
Yeah, regarding Aloy solving it for you, good. She's smarter than you are. She should be able to solve all these puzzles. And the other thing that I like that's quasi-related to that is I think that's the first game where the character would tell you, I don't think I can do this right now. I should come back to it later. And as somebody who doesn't like to leave things undone, I will beat my head against something for an hour before I give up. And having the protagonist say, you should probably come back to this. Cool. I won't waste another 50 minutes on it.
It's great. I love that sort of interactivity with the character. I think that is helpful for people. And I understand that people want that there are, people out there who want to solve puzzles and figure things out, and that's great. But it should, as with all things in video games, it should be an option. Every game should have a difficulty option. Every game should have a guidance option. Every game should have a no guidance option. I want everyone to be able to play any way that they want to play. The only thing that should stop you from playing a game is you're not interested in that genre of game. That's my stance on it. I think all games should be accessible to those who are interested in that type of game. That doesn't mean every tactical RPG needs to be appealing to every person, but it should be able to be played by anybody who's interested in a tactical RPG. If you're interested in a dark fantasy series with an interesting world, people like Elden Ring, great, play your Elden Rings, but make it accessible to the people who are interested in that world and make it a little bit easier for them if they're interested in trying. That's my stance on that sort of thing.
Before I move on to mine, you will never get that in Elden Ring. That's the point of Elden Ring, is to make it difficult and make you frustrated. As somebody who loves Souls games, I like the idea of having a difficulty you can move down. I think that games should be accessible. yeah, the entire point of Elden Ring and the Souls games is it's supposed to be the
I know,
hardest thing
I
you do.
understand that it is. I get that that's what it's for, and I don't ever expect them to make that change. I just think that they should. There's a difference. I don't expect it.
Yeah,
I'm not going to go knock on their door and say, "Hey, Miyazaki-san, put in a an easy mode or something like that." I get it that that's not the kind of game that they want to make, but I also don't care. Like I think that they should be doing that, and that's it's a shame because more people would play those games. I know Elden Ring is the exception to that rule because it sold so many copies, but it was also, from what I understand, the easiest of the ones because it gave you the most options to go elsewhere and explore and level up and make it the game easier for yourself. And that's when the game did
yeah.
well. That makes sense because they had options. Options make things better, people. Options make things better.
Well, speaking of grinding out, my favorite trope is the general leveling systems of most games. You go into a conversation, you don't have the speech level to get to the next stage. I'm going to go kill some bugs with my sword, and then I can put a point to speech, and then I'll go back. Did it matter that I didn't use my speech skill to make it better? Nah. The sword skill's working just fine to make the speech skill better. It doesn't make any sense, but it's something I've definitely
Yeah.
taken advantage of. To me, Skyrim got it right. The more you use a skill, the better you got at it. You sneak a lot, guess what? You're going to get better at sneaking. And I really liked that. It made it feel like you were invested into what you were doing.
See, I really think you'd like Kingdom Come Deliverance too. It's Skyrim to the extreme. Like you really need to do the stuff in order to level things up. One fun thing that I like about it is it has an encumbrance system. You know, like, oh, I've got too much weight. I can't move fast. I'm holding too much, right? But what it does is it never stops you from moving, which is good. You just move really slow. But how do you get stronger and have a higher encumbrance rate? How do you lower? Let me try that again. How do you improve an encumbrance rate? Saying I can't carry all this. I'm not strong enough. You carry heavy things. So the more you carry on yourself, the more you're building up your strength so that you're no longer encumbered. Like that's an actual
Weighted vest exists
yeah,
for a reason.
exactly. That's exactly it. There's a reason why Goku trains with weighted, gear on his arms and his arms and wrists and feet and all that, and I like that system in Kingdom Come Deliverance too. I think you would really enjoy that game and playing it if you like that sort of leveling system because it is very in depth like that. Like if you want to level up your archery skill, you're gonna have to shoot that bow and miss a lot of shots, but you'll eventually learn how to shoot the bow, both in the game and in your actual skill set of shooting a bow because it's kind of hard to shoot a bow in that series. So I think you would be interested in trying it. You haven't played it yet, right? You haven't played KCD2?
No, when it goes on sale, I'll probably give it a shot. I am interested, even though I'm not interested.
You don't
in
have to
feeding
feed the horse. There's no need to feed the horse. Did you play the first one at all? Because the first one's really cheap.
I have not, but I'll give the KCD2 a chance whenever it goes on
2
sale.
is very much a direct continuation of the first one. So if you like 2 a little bit, I would say go and check out 1 afterwards and be like, all right, I like this game. This is cool. Let me go back and see where the story actually is and play the first game because it's not that old and it still looks gorgeous and it's definitely more Euro janky than KCD2 is, but it's not unplayable, especially now that they've had many years of patching and fixing it. I recommend the whole series. They're great games. I also want to say that I like the trope of the boss you're supposed to lose to, but you can win the fight trope. You know that one I'm talking about, where like it's like Sora when you fight Leon in Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, and that's the one that I hate the most is when you fight a boss and you're doing great against the boss, and then there's a cutscene and the boss is impossible to beat and he kills you. It's like, why did you string me along? If I'm not supposed to beat the boss, just make it so I can't beat the boss. Like,
see, I agree with you to the extent that I want there to be recognition if you do beat the boss. I agree that you should be able to just lose, but if you do manage to win and then it's still a scripted loss, like the way that Kingdom Hearts does it when you fight Leon is it'll actually show Leon like out of breath as Sora's fainting because Sora will be like, "Is that all you got?" And then he like falls over and collapses. But then Leon will be panting, and I think I think it's Yuffie who comes over to him and is like, gave you a run for your money there, hey Squall, or something like that. Like he said, some sort of acknowledgement that you did beat that fight, but you have to lose it for the story purposes. I think that's cool. I like that just that little bit of recognition that you went through that extra effort. And I to your point about just losing, I wish that they made it easier to know when it's the case that you're supposed to lose a fight, because sometimes I feel like I'm struggling over and over and over, and I'll like reload before I lose because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna lose this, and I'll just do it again, and then it's like, oh wait, I was supposed to lose that. Oh, oops. What tropes do you not like? Sorry, do you want to say them?
No, I was just gonna agree with you on that. But yeah, in terms of
Yeah.
tropes that I hate, that's my big one. I agree with you, even though that's one that you love. It's one that I hate. What do you hate?
Anyone who's talked to me before about certain things will know this, but I can't stand in medias res. Do you know in medias res? Do you know that as a concept? Some people don't. Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know what in medias res is, that's the term for when a story starts at a point that's not the beginning. It's supposed to be the middle because it's medias, but it's just a point that's not the beginning. There are some games that start super late. There are some games that start just like a couple hours in, some right in the middle, but I can't stand that. I can't stand that trope. The reason I can't stand that trope is because it kills all the stakes. There are no stakes. If you know that a character is going to survive, or if you know what's happening, even on a baseline, it loses something. Very rarely do I want to see the middle or the end of a story and then be told how I got there. Without spoilers, there's a game that came out this year. I'm not going to spoil it for anyone because I don't want to spoil it for Byron either if he hasn't played it. But you play this game and it opens in medias res, and you see a character. But when you play the game, a few hours in, there's a moment where that character appears to be in mortal danger. But he's not, because I know he's going to survive, because I saw him in the opening of the game. And that is so frustrating to me. There's no stakes. If there's if my side character is in out moment 1 of the game, and then in moment 5, I see that he may have his, head chopped off or something, I know it's not going to happen, because in moment 1, which takes place in moment 10, I know that moment 5 he's going to be okay. And then especially if you're dealing with a game that's choice and consequences based, it's like, oh, so it doesn't matter what choices I make, nothing I could do is going to lose this person. Like he's always going to survive. He's always going to be fine. And that just, like I said, it loses stakes to me. I feel like there's a loss in that approach. What do you think about that?
Yeah. No, I agree. When you have agency to make decisions, it stinks knowing that your decisions have zero impact on the outcome. As a narrative device, I'm okay with it. Knowing what happens with Darth Vader didn't make the prequels less interesting. It was still learning the tale of Darth Vader. The prequels stunk for their own reasons.
I want to push back a little bit here, because I think that prequel stories are not the same thing as starting the story in the middle. It would be really stupid if Episode 1 opens up at the end of the pod race with Anakin winning, and then it's like, let's go back to the beginning of how we got Anakin Skywalker. Like that would be stupid. I hate that concept, because then the whole prep for the pod race is like, we know he's going to win the pod race.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that, but I think it still fits there. But yeah, I agree 100% that when you have control, knowing that your control is an illusion takes away from the game.
I don't even mind control being an illusion in the grand scale of things. I don't like it being shown, like shoved in your face. Like, here's the illusion, like that's the trick. Because David Gator, the writer of and creator of the Dragon Age universe, most things in my mind are related to Dragon Age and Yakuza, by the way. So he always talks about, when he was on Twitter and Tumblr and other places that he would do blog posts, he would talk about the fact that even the most complex narrative of a video game still is an illusion of choice when you're having a choice-based game, because you can branch out as far as you want, but it all still has to come back somehow into a select number of endings, and all dialogue branches in a conversation have to come back to the point. You can't, if character A is going to tell character B that they need to go and save the princess, and that's a main part of the main story, it doesn't matter what you talk to character A about. Character A has to tell you to go save the princess. You have to find that information out somehow, some way. And so it always has to wrap back around.
Yes, but there are games where you can impact how the story is told, and you can impact the outcome of the story. I can't come up with an example off the top of my head, but there are games where you can kill characters who give you further quests. I mean, sure, the story has to come back in some way, but it's different ways depending on the choices that you make.
That's exactly right. But that's the illusion. The choices you make are the illusion because you're still wrapping around. It changes the pathway to get to that same endpoint. Because there's only ever going to be so many.
There are games that
it's only.
I mean, there's so many, but I mean, it can't be completely open. But you can have good, neutral, and bad endings, and the choices that you make alter that. I mean, it's a video game. Yeah, it's a finite system. It's not Star Ocean 3 where the finite system is a whole universe. So yeah, I mean that's a limitation.
It is a limitation of technology, but that is why the explanation that Mr. Gator always gave was that it is an illusion, because no matter what you're doing, it still has to wrap back around. Even if you give them 3, 5, 10 endings, there are still that finite number of endings. So the trick is writing it so that illusion isn't broken. And I feel like In Media Res kind of breaks that illusion, because you do know that your choices aren't necessarily as important. There are some times where the choice is like, you made this choice, game over. Like the game over screen is the result of your choice. It's like, okay, I guess that's fair. There's, without spoiling any major parts of the game of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, for example, the bad guy of the universe is King Sigismund of Hungary. And there's a point in the game where you can kill Sigismund of Hungary if you want to. And the game will just end. It'll be like, good job killing King Sigismund. This really isn't how the story was written, so we're going to let you reload now, but good job. And it accounts for you doing that, which is fun. It's a cute little thing.
I guess in summary, give us options, give us agency, and don't tell us the things.
Yes, don't tell us the things we can't do, and don't tell us the things that we can't change. That's the In Media Res piece, is the things we can't change.
Well, that sounds good. What do you have for upcoming games?
Yeah, there's actually quite a lot coming out this week. I want to highlight a few that are of interest to me and just a few for some talking points. So Anno 117 Pax Romana comes to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC on November 13th. We talked about Anno, I think, briefly previously, haven't we? That you were...
Yeah, what does 117 add to? Yeah, that's something I learned last week. Yeah. I'll add up to 9.
So I think this is interesting. I'm curious about this one. I'm a huge ancient Rome fan. I love the Roman Empire and all that stuff. I used to read books about it. When I was in college, I needed one elective of 4 credits to graduate because I had all the required stuff for the degree, but not enough for a degree. I had enough for the specific degree, but not the overall. And I took an ancient Rome class, just an ancient Roman history class, just for fun. So part of me is really interested in checking this one out here. I hope it sells well. I do like Ubisoft's games, so I always want Ubisoft to succeed, even though they're owned partially by Tencent now, which is unfortunate. Are you going to check this one out?
Maybe when it goes on sale. It's not one of the games that I would be focused on getting on
day one. I agree. I probably won't pick it up on day one. There's, like I said, where's the drought? There's too much going on. Interesting games that are coming out. I wanted to ask you about the Atelier Ryza Everdarkness and the Secret Hideout DX, Atelier Ryza 2, Lost Legends and the Secret Fairy DX, and Atelier Ryza 3. Atelier Ryza 3. Where's the title? There it is. Alchemist of the End and the Secret Key DX. Any interest in these? Do you know anything about the Atelier games at all?
I have never heard of them. I really hope that it's some sort of space combat game.
Wait, sorry, space combat what?
Nope. It's got to be a space combat game, right?
No.
That's what
Are you serious? I don't even know if you're joking right now.
I'm not joking. Never heard of it
right now. Just Google this. I just want you to see the cover art of Atelier. I just like we got to get this live reaction for posterity. Atelier Ryza. Look at Ryza.
It looks like a
It's
Hoyoverse
not,
type game.
but
I see bunny ears and young girls.
so Atelier means alchemist in French, and Atelier is a very old series that you basically play as a young girl who is an alchemist, and a story happens, and generally speaking, you have a time limit to accomplish the main goal, and otherwise you go around and you do things. I don't know. I've never played one of them, but I own the Mystery Trilogy Deluxe Edition on PS4 because that's the one that doesn't have a time limit, and I don't want a time limit if I ever play these games. They're so interesting to me because they've been going on forever, and they do decently well. And I don't know enough about them, but I kind of want to play at some point in time. Does this appeal to you at all? Are you reading about it?
Yeah, I don't. This isn't going to be on my list, I don't think.
Yeah, it's
more power to you. If you want to try
I own the Mystery Deluxe Trilogy. At some point, I will try it. I do own it. I bought it when it was on sale a couple of years ago now, so I'm curious about them. They look like they might be fun to play, and I'm open to. I don't care the vibe of a game. If I like the look of it, I like the look of it. You know, I don't care if it looks like it's made for kids or made for this or that. Like, if I like how it looks, I like how it looks. I like my Hoyo games. I like my Genshin and whatnot. Like, you know, I still have to do Genshin dailies today. I haven't done that yet because I've been flying. But yeah, so those are the Atelier games. I was just curious about any exposure or knowledge you had of them. But no, unfortunately, they are not space games. It'd be kind of cool if they were space games. Maybe they'll make a Space Atelier game someday. Who knows? But those are all coming out to PS5, Switch 2, PC, Switch 1, and PS4 on November 13th. Also coming to Switch 2 on November 13th, Byron. Switch 2, November 13th.
I don't have a Switch 2.
They're already on Switch 1. Yakuza Kiwami and Yakuza Kiwami 2, Byron. They're so good. Play these games. Play them. Play them. Play them. Kiwami 2 is one of the best of the series. I really like Kiwami 2. I haven't played it since I played it the first time. I need to go back to and get the platinum in it still. I have the platinums in 0 and Kiwami. They're tough. Those are hard platinums. Those are not easy platinums. There's a lot of grinding and a lot of... I mean, I know how to play Mahjong because of these games. Like, I've played Mahjong in real life, real Riichi Mahjong. I have gone and played at a table with tiles before because of the Yakuza games. If you ever come down to Florida when I'm in town, we can go play Mahjong together. Yeah, when I'm there, we can go play Mahjong together. It's literally like down the road from me. It's like 20 minutes, not even. It's really close where there's a group that play. Yeah.
Sounds
I'll
good.
throw this last one over to you to talk about because you're, probably more interested than I am. But go ahead.
What was the last one? Because the last thing I see on the list is the Yakuza games.
Call of Duty's on there.
Oh, it is. There's not a return there. Call of Duty Black Ops 7. I haven't played Call of Duty probably since Black Ops 1, but November 14th, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One. Wow. And PC. There's a lot of people who are Call of Duty fans. I thought they got kind of repetitive. They were more like a Madden new team each year type game, so I kind of stopped playing them after a while. But Call of Duty Modern Warfare, I still.
What was the last Call of Duty you played? Was it Black Ops 1, or did you play any since then?
It might have. There was Black Ops, and then there was like a Future Warfare, I think, and that may have been the last one that had drones and type stuff, and I liked that. Okay.
Yeah, there's two that you may be mixing up there. There's Advanced Warfare and Infinite Warfare.
Advanced Warfare. Yeah, I've not played Infinite. I played.
That's
Advanced
funny.
Warfare.
That's the last one that I played as well. That's the one with Kevin Spacey.
I don't remember Kevin Spacey. I don't know that I beat the game.
He's in the first scene.
He's the main multiplayer. Oh,
that came out during the peak House of Cards time when he was really popular and everywhere, and they just brought him in. And Infinite Warfare is the one where you play alongside Kit Harington because that was during peak Game of Thrones time.
Wow. Yeah, I did not know that.
Yeah, Advanced Warfare was the last one I played. I liked Modern Warfare, the original Modern Warfare trilogy, 1, 2, and 3. Those were good. And then I stopped because I was like, I don't need to play these anymore. They're, like you said, they're just like annualized, the same stuff, and I don't care about the multiplayer enough to keep going. So I stopped. And then I picked it up for Advanced Warfare because I thought it looked fun, and I liked that game. I just there's always so many games to play. Even back then, I feel like I've never been at a point where I don't have anything to play. I'm always got something at least somewhat interesting to do, and whether even if it's not just games, whether it's TV, watching. I don't know about you, but I'm a big NCIS fan. I watch NCIS, the original NCIS from 2003, and still on to this day. You watch NCIS at all? No.
I've never seen NCIS, but I might have been in an episode of NCIS New Orleans. Was that a show?
Yeah.
Yeah, I walked through the set one day when they were filming.
Cool.
I don't know if I made it or not.
I never watched New Orleans. I was not a New Orleans watcher of it. I watched the original show, and I watched the spin-off. It's a prequel series, and that's pretty much it. I never really bothered to watch any of their others, but I like NCIS a lot. I've watched it forever, and so just alongside those things, there's always something to watch, something to play. And Call of Duty just fell, back to the bottom because I stopped doing the multiplayer thing. I don't really do the multiplayer gaming kind of thing, but that's just me. There's a lot of people who do. A lot of people love it.
I'm not good enough.
Yeah, you don't really do multiplayer games either, do you?
I have, and I do some the multiplayer first person shooters. Like I'm out of my depth on those now. So I'll play more with friends. I'd rather do co-op stuff.
I understand that feeling for sure. If there's an interesting co-op game, I'm open to trying it and playing it. But by and large, I don't do much. Jing and I did do the Hazelight games earlier this year. We haven't, it was earlier this year. We didn't do Split Fiction yet, but maybe it was actually last year. We did at the end of last year, but we did A Way Out and It Takes Two together. We played those because she hadn't played them before. And then Split Fiction came out earlier this year, and that's on the list of things. I'm just waiting for it to be a little bit cheaper to play, wait for a sale on it. And we like Overcooked. We played all through Overcooked 1 and Overcooked 2.
I played number 1 and I liked it, but it got a little wild. So I think that's about whenever my
2 is better than 1 because you can throw food. You can throw things, and there's no throwing in 1, which makes it much harder. I think we got 3 stars in almost every level on 2, and we did not in 1. We got a few 1 stars that we skated by the skin of our teeth. So. But yeah, I think that'll wrap us up for today's episode, Byron. Thank you again, as always, for joining me on this. Well, for me, it's this very dreary Sunday afternoon. For you, you got nice and sunshine there. I can see it coming through the window.
It's bright and warm in North Carolina,
and it is cold and miserable here in Rochester. But no, I appreciate your time. This is fun as always. I think this was another good episode. I think it'll be a little bit smoother and cleaner than our last one. We're getting our feet under ourselves here, and despite some early technical snafus that the audience doesn't know about,
just consistent progress.
Absolutely,
that's what's important
for sure. Well, Byron, what do you have going on? Social media handles, promotions. What's going on?
I stay clear of social media. I'd like to thank everybody who I asked to listen to the show this last week. Listen to the show. Shout out to Billy Joe. I didn't forget. I see you. So hopefully you'll catch us at the end of the show this week.
We miss you.
Yeah, we do miss you, Billy Joe.
We'll have to get Billy Joe to play a game and just have her on to talk about that one game. What's something simple?
That will not happen. She would show up for the podcast, and she might talk about how she's not going to play the game, or if she did, about how frustrating.
That'd be perfect. That's all we need.
Just
have her play the game and be frustrated and dumbfounded by it, and then we could go. Yeah, just straight up reaction. Maybe we could get her to play a phone game or something, right? She probably plays a phone game. Maybe she can play Clash of Clans.
I don't know that she does, but I would love to have the opportunity to have her on. So maybe I'll give her a call and.
For sure. See if we can work for the audience, out. Billy Joe is a former coworker of ours, and she was she left the company. Is all I'll say.
Yeah, she was compliance, and I was cybersecurity, and we spent a lot of time together, and with Joe on various
Yeah.
intertwined
And she left the
issues.
company and moved away, and so we miss her. We don't get to see her as often as we used to.
Yep, not as dreary as Rochester, but where she is
I'm
right now
sure.
is worse than North Carolina or
Yeah.
Florida.
Well, thank you, Byron, again. Yeah, for me, you can check me out on Twitter/X at Joseph underscore law underscore Russa. My writing at seasongaming.com as Don Lionheart. Like I said last week, nothing in the works at the moment. I'll keep everyone here posted on things. But go ahead and check out my Echoes of the End review from back in September. I think that was. Maybe it wasn't September. Maybe it was August. It was a couple months ago. But I enjoyed that game. It deserves a little bit more credit than it got. A little bit more attention. And check out my Lost Soul Aside review that I did, which I enjoyed that game more than others. Not as much as I was hoping I would. Same with Mind's Eye. I'm a very controversial reviewer. I don't hate things very passionately. I tend to be kind of neutral on them, and I give things neutral scores, and everyone goes and loses their heads over it, which is unfortunate. But that's just me. I was just saying to Jing that I get it from my mother. I'm the eternal optimist. But
The worst things can be is
yeah,
mid.
it's a shame. At least bad is sometimes interesting, you know. But that's it. Well, thank you, everyone.
Yep. Thank you everybody for listening and
Appreciate your
watching.
time. And remember, whether it's your gen, my gen, or someone else's, friends can be cross generation. Take care, everyone.